Hi and welcome to this week's Peace Diaries number 5. I'm Helen Jane Rose. I'm an author, channel, automatic writer and energy healer. And I'll be reading out, as I do weekly, the channeled message that I receive from the Divine Council that we affectionately call the DC. So I read that out verbatim, and then Jed comes and joins me. He's an acupuncturist, an energy healer and a cranial sacral therapist, and he will help to unpack the messages and kind of ground them and bring his perspective, and particularly sort of explaining from his perspective in his clinic and how some of the messages become real when he's advising clients, and bringing own life experiences along too. So I hope you are well, and I will start to read this week's report. Welcome, beautiful souls, to this week's The Peace Diaries 5, guiding you to your highest vibration possible, that of inner peace, that of trusting the divine flow from within you, that of trusting your inner disposition as your guiding force over all the external, to drown out the external noise so that you can hear the whispers of your soul quietly, subtly guiding you to a better life for you and the world too. If you're interested, have heard the call, or feel stuck and are looking for a way out, you're in the right place. In the past, inner peace has sounded like such an elusive concept, yet it is not. As we have said and will keep repeating, it is attainable in the human state. It has been made to sound so complicated and unattainable, but it is not. It is a state that can be reached in this lifetime if you are prepared to take the dedicated steps that lead you there. Moving inwards, letting your inner world be your priority, but not at the expense of yourself. For if you are just listening to the thousands of thoughts whirling around your mind, you are not giving space inwardly to your soul. We suggest again starting your day with the surrender to your soul morning intention that we channeled for the book The Coming Times. It starts, "Today I intend to surrender to the agenda of my soul. My soul knows exactly what's ahead for me today." I surrender to the agenda of my soul is a very powerful statement. A very high level of consciousness, for you are surrendering up what your mind thinks is best for you and allowing your soul self to guide you. I surrender to the agenda of my soul. Even saying this just 3 times on waking will help you to align with your soul self immensely. Surrender takes trust. It takes you understanding that there really is another way to live. It takes inner discipline not to be controlled by the thoughts in your head. Most thoughts aren't helpful. That's a powerful statement that we've just said to you. Most thoughts aren't helpful. When you're truly in the flow and surrendered to the guidance coming from within, you feel inspired about making decisions which come from outside of your mind. Most of your thoughts come from the past. They are preconditioned based on your past and what has happened to you in childhood and beyond. When you have truly surrendered, you use thoughts differently. You know clearly the difference, for you feel it within you. You feel the energy around inspired thought compared to thoughts that are habitual and carry a very different energy within them. We will assist you in helping to feel the difference. Then there's the thoughts that are showing clearly what needs to be healed from within you. Thoughts that are leading you to patterns and programs that you are reacting to that aren't actually you. These thoughts are serving you to see what needs to be healed within you. Harsh judgment, for example, thoughts that are judging, criticising, those thoughts aren't coming from your soul. Yes, discernment comes from your soul self, but not judgment. There's a difference. Does it feel loving or its opposite? Sometimes discernment feels very loving for you and is linked with the idea of boundaries. Boundaries of not accepting certain behaviour towards you. Boundaries are a necessary step on the path of surrender in choosing what is right for you. A realisation of what is acceptable to the soul self and what isn't. Decisions from the soul self will always lead you to the peaceful outcome for you. Sometimes the path of least resistance is just that. And sometimes along the way you're called to stand up for yourself, to ignite the inner strength that lies at the heart of you. We love you, the DC. Okay, and as has been happening each week, I'm just going to close my eyes and tune in and just see if there's any additional messages or meditation that just wants to come through me. So I'm just going to close my eyes. As we come through in this moment, helping to guide you into a peaceful state within you, to going behind your thoughts, if you like, to sitting in the space we refer to as the soul space, the space of silence deep within you, that you can consciously choose to connect into. Just asking you to close your eyes and just to give yourself a few moments of respite from the external world around you. Just allowing yourself to draw inwards and to initially just becoming present as possible to your body, feeling yourself sitting or lying down. Feeling into your heart beating for you. Just seeing if you can tune in to that beat within you, that pulse, if you like, that aliveness, that movement that's occurring inside you without anything to do with your thoughts, with your thinking mind, just by the innate intelligence of your body that's happening for you outside of your thoughts. And just like that is happening outside of your thinking mind, so your soul can guide you to, like you trust that the body keeps your heart beating, so your soul can guide you to. Imagine if you had to think every split second to tell your body to beat for you, to sustain you, to stay alive for you. You would literally be driven mad every second thinking that you were responsible for truly keeping yourself alive moment to moment. And in a sense, this happens with your reliance on your thinking, for you believe that if you do not follow your thoughts, so your life won't work for you. And we are here to remind you at a deep level that you can trust the silence behind your thinking to guide you. Sitting with yourself, with your eyes inward, to honouring that intelligence within you. And trusting that when something within you perhaps isn't working as best it could for you, that there is a message within it to help you. It is just enough to ask to change your perspective from being a victim of something happening to you and asking, how is this happening for me? This is where we wish to leave you today. We love you. Hi. That felt more like a message leading from the original message that I wrote. It feels like they wanted to add into that, like in a live way. So I hope you're feeling a little bit more connected, a little bit more peaceful. Don't know, maybe a little bit more open to us grasping this whole concept of not taking our thoughts so seriously and opening to that silent space that they're trying to guide us to. Okay, right now, Jed's going to come and join me.
Well, thank you, Helen, once again, and hello everybody. Another beautiful channeled meditation and channeled transcript as well. Just a couple of points that stuck out for me in the meditation. Not noticing, or just, I guess, not honouring, if you like, the fact that your lungs breathe for you, your heart beats for you, your eyes look for you. You don't have to press any buttons or hone in. I mean, I guess that should be part of our meditation every day, is thanking the body for that. But there's a whole host of other things that can happen that we try and control ourselves, and I think that's the point of this meditation, is to really pay attention to that as well. And this is what the whole not just this week's Peace Diary, but all of the Peace Diaries so far have been about that, and it's about surrendering and letting go to the moment, and it's not an easy thing, because it's part of it is incredibly abstract and it's unusual. It's not what we're used to, and the idea of doing nothing and letting things happen it's just not doable for us all at once. So we've got to go in incremental steps and take notice of the things that happen when we do. They've even suggested that in here, haven't they, that allow the mind to have its moment and then sit back and be quiet for a bit and let the real stuff happen. So yeah, thank you for that. I really enjoyed it. And let's explore this week's transcript.
So, the first thing I wanted you to bring your perception on is, so the DC talk about trusting the flow within you and trusting your inner disposition. How do you interpret this? What does that mean for you? Like trusting the flow and your inner disposition?
Well, it's many things, isn't it? I think we're just on the back of the World Cup, and I like to use football analogies. So if you compare the Argentina game to the France game, the third and fourth place playoff, well, it's slightly different, or quite a lot different, but both teams in the third and fourth place playoff really had nothing to play for other than pride and having a bit of fun at the World Cup, and that allowed the top players to show what they can do, and they did. They were, for both sides, 10 goals in the game, doesn't get better than that, unless it's a basketball game. But there was no inhibitions, there was no constraints, there were no tethering, no restrictions, no control, or a less amount of control, and that resulted in high entertainment. So that would be one way I would look at it, using that analogy. Apologies to those that don't like football. But when you're in flow. But I think what they're asking us right now is to pay attention to your personal physical response. So it'll be slightly different to everybody. There'll be some commonalities, but notice when you're in flow, because it's going to help you in your decision-making process. I think that's what they're asking us. And you definitely know when you're not in flow. That making decisions from that state of anxiety, from that tightness, from that restriction, sometimes it will work. More often than not, that's at some point that's going to come out as a correction. It might not be in that moment or even in that event, but it's going to come out. So the more and more we can pay attention to our flow state, and in the decision making process, is listening to your body.
Yeah.
That would be how I mean, you're more in tune with your body than I am in terms of your intuitive state, I suppose. You go to the body first, don't you? I have to think about it and then go to the body. For you, I think it's more of an automatic, natural response, and I think that applies to empaths, especially. It's that's their go-to place, so it's kind of easier for them, if you like. But it's not always easy to discern feelings.
Yeah.
It's a real effort in terms of fine-tuning that.
Yeah, and if I dare say so, I actually do believe that it is harder for men to do that. I think women are naturally wired. We talk about like the difference. There is definitely a difference. So I do think it's harder for men. I think it does come much more naturally for us.
Yeah. Yes, certainly the pointing towards and using it as a tool, but I think for everybody, male and female, the discernment is equal in it, and it's equal to the amount of effort you pay attention.
Yeah.
Because, the felt sense can come from distortion as well.
Yeah.
Unhealed energy will show itself as a felt sense. And that's why we get triggered and respond to things in unhelpful ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, double down for the men and single down for the women. Next question.
Okay. So they say that inner peace is an attainable state, which I think we've talked about before. It sounds so big, and it's a concept that I think particularly up until now has felt quite elusive and not something that is attainable, but they're being quite kind of, it is attainable. But what would you say are like the obvious opposing factors to that?
Well, noise would be an obvious one, but yeah, I mean, what is noise? Thoughts are noise. Mm-hmm. Busyness is noise. Forever questioning, forever doubting, forever judging. The criticism, the inner critic, they'll be the big ones.
Yeah.
The absolute biggest is fear, because it literally locks down. You go into freeze state. So there's a lot. You've got, inner peace versus all the rest of it. So that's quite a big ask as well. But they keep repeating over and over and over again. The more you practice this, the more you lean into it, it happens. And it can happen quite quick. And so again, you've got to work at it. And just becoming aware of it. The fact that you're watching this means you're aware of it already. And you're just going to have to do it more and more. And there's a big goal, or destination, or prize, if you like. And so how do you negate the noise, I guess is what you're asking as well. It's like follow Helen's meditations, pay attention to your body, because that's in the now moment, and give your mind something to think about in the process. And that you can use that, we've said this before, those two components, using the imagination to activate the right brain over the left brain, and honing in on the body. Use your breath as the vehicle to get there, but pay attention to the repetitive mind noise, the ones that are coming up over and over and over again. And I think they lean into this in a while, don't they, about things that come up for healing.
Yeah.
So you've got general noise,
just
the day-to-day stuff, and you've got repetitive noise, which we'll talk about in a moment. And that's the important stuff, and it's repetitive for a reason. It wants to be heard, wants to be noticed, and it wants healing. So so there's important noise as well as noisy noise, slightly less important.
And I remember them once saying to me, because I suppose I have been on this journey for a long time. I can remember the first time I wrote, do you want inner peace or do you want to stay within a chaos? And I think that was the first, I remember writing it and reading it back, and actually for the first time ever being aware of how chaotic my inner world actually was. Like, I don't think before that. And then they kind of said to me, you've got to make inner peace your priority if you want to experience that state. Yes, there was a time when I did meditate ridiculously, and I was given that space to do it, where I could be in meditation every day for quite a long time. But I would say that the biggest shift I've found is day to day, just day to day, becoming more and more conscious of what's going on inside. And even, like, say for example, I might be driving and just not having anything on, and just trying to practice just being still, like kind of within me, and noticing what's coming up, and just trying to find that silence. So I think that it is something that we definitely can practice going about our day to day. Yeah, that's just what I would like to add there.
Well, just to clarify that, when she means she had nothing on, she meant the radio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just in case anyone's on the motorway, looking out for Helen.
Brilliant.
Next question.
Oh, so this leads quite nicely. So they say, letting your inner world be your priority, but not at the expense of yourself. Now, this is quite a confusing sentence, and it probably needs some explanation.
Yeah, the way I understood it, and I'll give that question back to you in a second, but it felt like it was, don't indulge in your thoughts, or you can go into meditation, but actually it's not a meditation, you're just thinking a lot, and you're going over and over and over stuff. And is that helpful? No, it's probably not. You're probably intensifying what would normally be quite a calm moment, maybe doing the housekeeping or whatever, and instead you're sat there and just ramped up the noise in your head. So that's why, it's important what I said before, the components of the body awareness, and the right brain activity to go into that still place. And it just start off with a few minutes. Don't be sitting there for long periods of time, which is unhelpful. If you find yourself doing the shopping in your mind, or ruminating over problems, then come out of it. Well, that's the way I understood it. Was that the same for you?
Yeah, because I think they're trying to reiterate that there's such a big difference within our inner world, exactly that, between our everyday thinking and that space where our soul self, if you like, communicates to us, which is through the silence. So I think exactly that. I think it is an illusion when you start to meditate that you are going to be able to not hear yourself think, because sometimes I think our thoughts become even enlarged and we hear more. But I think the discipline, like you were saying, is either to be aware that okay, stop, or to be able to start to feel the difference between the thoughts that are bombarding you, and almost acknowledging them and keeping going, and being able to try and get behind them, even for a few moments where you've got all these thoughts coming at you in your head, but your discipline is to try and get behind them. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, again, they're asking us to pay attention to noise.
Yeah, and getting away from that.
Yeah, noticing how you feel is, a very important component, because it's giving the mind something to do at the same time you're in that still point.
Exactly. Yeah.
So hopefully we've understood it. I'm sure they'll remind us next week. If we haven't, we'll come back in a different form. So don't worry, we won't miss anything out.
So I think it would be quite interesting for you to share. So when I was channeling this report yesterday, I was writing surrender to your soul agenda about them reminding us of how important it is. And then I think that you should share how interesting it was, what happened.
I'm never in the room when Helen's doing her channeling. She goes into a meditative state and writes down, more often than not writes, sometimes records. So when this was being recorded yesterday, Helen was upstairs and I was actually downstairs on a live online therapy session, healing session with somebody. And I came up and Helen had finished her report and I read through it. And when I was reading it, at first I noticed about the surrender to the agenda of my soul, because it came up in my healing session that it was really important for this person to do. And I observed someone in meditative sort of healing state, their bodily response to saying this affirmation, which was quite amazing. And then I went on to read the rest of the channeling, and it was pretty much verbatim what had happened in my healing session. And I thought that she'd been listening to what I was doing and wrote it down, but absolutely not. I mean, you can't hear anything downstairs. We're not in the same room. We're in a different part of the house. So I don't know if it's a coincidence. It's certainly intrigued me.
Is that flow? Is that a perfect example?
It's that the DC wrapping it all up in one moment and giving me a live example of what happened. But yeah, so when boundaries was the other topic that came up, which, they're two, they were part of the same experience, but not two things that you generally put together in a conversation, but they appear in Helen's channeling in my session. But yeah, the really important part of it was I witnessed somebody saying this statement as an affirmation, and their whole body changing, and their state visibly changed in front of me, and this continued afterwards for this person. And I don't know, maybe it was for me to, maybe I doubted it a little bit, and they showed me someone else experiencing it. But it was very powerful, very strong, and I've been using it a lot since then myself, and I will continue to do so. I really urge you to do it yourself. And there's a lot more in Helen's book. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the science behind affirmations is, but I now know it works and it's true. Yeah, so very interesting.
And is it also to do with our word is our command, if you like, and that we are more powerful than we believe ourselves to be? So when we're making statements like, I surrender to the agenda of my soul, we're claiming that, we're making that command. I am choosing to be guided by my soul almost. So I guess it's a strengthening, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think, because we're in this physical 3D reality, so to speak, the action of saying it out loud makes it more potent, because you're bringing it more. So you can say it in your mind and it will still have an effect, but I think if you say it out loud, it's really rubber stamping it. You're underlining this is what I'm saying, and I've brought it into this reality, and I want you to respond to that. Yeah, that's why I think.
Yeah, I agree. So just going kind of back a tiny bit to, we were just talking about thoughts before that, and they repeat twice again saying that it's an important statement. Most thoughts aren't helpful, and then they repeat it again, most thoughts aren't helpful. So if thoughts aren't helpful, then why are we listening to them all day, every day?
And what are they?
I
guess this is a personal opinion, not something I can validate with anything other than this is what I feel. And I think, I've read and listened to a lot of people who've had opinions on it, and so I guess I'm picking up someone else's opinion and thinking, I like that one. But apparently the human species, if you like, is not where it's supposed to be. And we're not supposed to be, mind isn't supposed to be in control. The tail is not supposed to be wagging the dog. But it is, and there are various opinions as to how that happened, but it did, and we've been on a long journey back to repairing that error. It is an error, it's not supposed to be that way. It's polluted by fear, and some consider fear as a virus. And we're busy healing that process that way, and inner peace is the way of correction. Is the way to return the mind to its obedient state. So yeah, it's basically the thoughts that we have, repetitive thoughts over and over and over again. It's an illness. We're very, we're quite sick as a race, which is very sad. But there's a way out. We are being led to a way out of it, and so let's just imagine, or use some numbers. The amount of time in a day and the amount of thoughts you have, it's probably close to 98, maybe 99% of the day you're thinking useless thoughts. And imagine if that was turned on its head and it was 1%, how enjoyable your day would be, where you're just feeling your way through life and experiencing through the felt sense. You can still communicate. You can communicate through the felt sense. Yeah. There'd be time for telepathy. I can never get this word right. Telepathy. There would be a lot of time to learn telepathy and lots of fabulous psychic skills like that. And it's on its way. It's happening already. There are lots of, especially young kids today, amazing skills. There's a lot to look forward to. And so we need to encourage the movement towards peace. Absolutely. And I'm always harping on about this, but schools don't help because they encourage thinking, and they don't encourage the freedom to create and the play. And that's where for me that's where it's got to begin. We've got to lean strongly into creativity and to pondering rather than thinking, problem solving. But that's for another show.
So then they go on to say that there are certain thoughts that are showing us clearly what needs to be healed from within us. And they talk about thoughts that are leading us to like patterns and programs that we're reacting to that aren't actually us, and that thoughts are serving us to what needs to be healed. So what type of thoughts would you suggest are showing us kind of what needs to be healed from within us?
Well, there's some really obvious ones. The one that shows up for me most in clinic when I talk to people is self-judgment, basically. I'm not good enough. People who do self-judge will tell you that that's the mainstay of their day. It's a really difficult place to be, but it's a very common place to be. And so why do those judgmental thoughts keep showing up over and over again? Okay, some of it's learned behaviour. For some reason the child learnt that, or was told, and they believed that they weren't good enough. But if you subscribe to the soul plan that was part of their choosing, why would you choose to have a belief system of self-judging, self-critic? It's to learn that you're not that.
Yeah.
The journey is to standing up for yourself, finding your sovereign self and saying, that's absolute nonsense. I am good enough. I mean, what does that even mean anyway? Where's the measure? Who's measuring? More often than not, it's you measuring you and nobody else's. And peer pressure, and we'll use all the other tools and markers to reinforce our belief system of self-judgment. It's rarely other people, to be honest. in my experience. Rarely other people. And so the journey, and it could be self-judgment, self-critic, it could also be not lovable, rejectable, all the common sort of psychotherapeutic threads of belief systems. But they'll be constant throughout your day, constant throughout your life, until you stand up to them. And so they'll be the mainstay of your thoughts. So take a note, journal repetitive thoughts or similar ones, and you'll find a pattern, a thread. And the good news out of that is when you address that and when you heal from it, you pull the thread on that, and that's a huge portion of your negative thoughts have gone in one fell swoop, because a lot of them will be linked and joined together, part of the same topic. So, identify what they are, get help if you need to with that for someone else. Sometimes when you're in it, you can't see it. So another pair of eyes and ears can help you identify repetitive patterns and beliefs.
Yeah, and I'd probably add to that it can feel quite vulnerable. So I think it's like being kind to yourself as well, and almost kind of like self-soothing. I think that helps as well in the healing of thoughts that we suddenly realise are really unkind to ourselves. Like, we've almost been programmed to talk to ourselves so much more unkindly than we have to talk to ourselves in a kind way. So I think that comes with it. Be kind to yourself and allow the vulnerability, because even though it feels raw and it's hard on the other side of it, like you said, it's so healing, because like you said, if you can pull the thread and start to pull the thread, you're creating space where all of that was being taken up. And I do know from experience that it works. I can say that hand on heart, that it does work.
And there you have it.
We can.
Oh, but going back to the affirmations, make your own up, and go back to also what we said before, say them out loud. Yeah. Reinforce them, put them out into the reality world that I am lovable, I am successful, I am whatever it is that you agree to be for yourself. I would avoid saying I am not something. That's quite confusing. So you're affirming what you are.
Yeah. Even if you don't currently believe it, right?
Yeah, well, you can believe it from a distance, and that will get closer and closer.
Yeah, right. So the DC link discernment, judgment and boundaries as part of the path of surrender. How do you interpret that, and do you have any examples?
Well, I did struggle with this, these sentences a little bit. So I looked up in the dictionary, well, not the dictionary, but the computer, the definition of boundaries. Yeah. Sorry, discernment versus judgment.
Yes. Yeah.
So discernment, the ability to judge well, perceive clearly, and distinguish between subtle differences. Judgment, the cognitive process of evaluating circumstances to form an opinion, make a decision, or reach a logical conclusion. And immediately the thing that struck out the most for me was discernment was feeling, and judgment was the mind. Exactly. So discernment is the felt sense, heart energy. Judgment is the mind, and we've already discussed this, that the mind's unhelpful and the felt sense is really helpful. Added into that, in this sort of context, the DC are saying that on the path to inner peace, where discernment and the felt sense are important processes on it, boundaries are also important. And what does that mean? I guess one example would be an empath, where they're on this planet, they want to help everybody, bless them for trying. But most of them do it at their own expense. And is that helpful? No. And if you ask an empath to really sit with a situation where they felt tired, exhausted, if you like, for overhelping, sometimes they become resentful for that, saying yes to things where they really know that they shouldn't. And the DC are asking you, not just empaths, but anybody in that situation, honour that feeling of, actually I don't need to do this, or I don't want to do this. I'd love to do it, but I can't. I just haven't got the energy. And they're asking us to pay attention, discernment, feel into it. Because if it feels, aggy, it just doesn't feel right, there's some resistance to it, it doesn't make you smile, it's not for you, it's not part of your soul plan. So don't do it. You're not going to get judged by anybody, you're not going to get told off by God or sent to hell or whatever it is that you believe in. There's none of those things are going to happen. What will happen is you're more and more aligned with your soul plan. And that doesn't mean to say you're not helping people. When you're fully charged up, motivated and happy, you can help the whole planet. When you're following your soul path and doing the right thing for you, then it becomes a wonderful, enjoyable work, pastime, whatever it is that you do. Yeah, so, sorry, the path of discernment, if you like, is a really important process, part of the process to inner peace, because you're feeling and honouring yourself.
Yeah. And like you were saying, if we just keep saying yes to things that really we should be saying no to, naturally, those feelings of resentment, those negative feelings, whether we like it or not, are going to be there. We're going to try and resist them, pretend they're not there, but they're there, and so they're causing a I can't think of the word.
Discernment.
No.
Disservice.
Yeah.
Disagreement.
Within us. It's not a disruption, but it's like we're smiling, trying to be helpful to everyone, and inwardly we're like, oh, why am I?
Dissonance.
So we're actually, it's like the same as what you were saying, we're really working against ourselves, and we're energetically, you can't hide. If you are really feeling negative about something, it's better to just say, that's actually, discern that, say, actually, like you were saying, that doesn't feel good to me, that doesn't feel good. Rather than us kind of thinking that we should do all this stuff. And that's where the boundaries come in, don't they?
Does that process apply to ice cream as well?
And there many times when you eat ice cream and think, I really don't want to be doing this.
I've never thought.
Exactly, so I don't think it does.
But I know that you probably shouldn't eat it every day.
Well, I mean...
Yes, we do get lit up by certain things, but after a while you would soon get sick of it. And I don't eat ice cream every day.
But yeah, life's pleasures, hey? And again, that's a sense thing, isn't it?
Yes.
We shouldn't deny ourselves the things that we enjoy, right?
So they finish with that last sentence: decisions from the soul self will always lead you to the peaceful outcome for you. Sometimes the path of least resistance is just that. And sometimes along the way you are called to stand up for yourself, to ignite the inner strength that lies at the heart of you. Yeah, so, discernment and making the right choices is not always, a softly sort of energy or process. It's sometimes saying no in a strong and firm way, and really reinforcing your sovereignty and your position and your place and your belief. It's, in alignment with your highest path. So yeah, just really honouring yourself. Well, that's all from me.
Yeah, and that's all from me.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
And hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I
and
hope
get
it's
some
been
benefit
helpful.
from it. Listen to the meditation a few times, as with the others as well. Most of them are up there now in their own right,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah, you know, if you're just feeling a bit like out of sorts, just maybe just choose one just to help feel a bit more balanced. Yeah. Okay.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks
Go
for
well,
listening.
lots of love. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.